hear from you, so get those comments in.
Mateta's in the room. Well, welcome Palace fans throughout the world to yet another podcast of the Red and Blue Review. With me, your host for the next hour, Ian Noble. It's been some week, hasn't it, in SE25 with 3 wins in a 7-day spell, 3 clean sheets and 3 points again. Ole, ole. Enough of that. First, apologies, guys, that we didn't get to broadcast immediately following the FA Cup win last Monday. Our technical difficulties are now behind us and they've been resolved. So I'm assured by our producer guy, Nigel, we're good to go tonight. Not only have we progressed to the 4th round of the FA Cup, we have 6 more Premier League points on the board. But of course, there's been activity off the pitch too, with players both leaving and arriving at the club. And we'll talk a lot more about that later on. But let's welcome those joining us in the chat to the top of the show. You guys are probably already doing this, but please do follow us across social media and like and share the content and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are new around here. So let's get into it and meet the panel for this evening. Welcome, Paul Gear, back at the real panel. Haven't seen you for at least 24 hours. How are you?
Evening, Ian. Evening, everyone. Yeah, we're all buzzing at the moment, aren't we? It's all going swimmingly well at the present. So, yeah, we're going to have a nice positive show. Lots to talk about.
Absolutely. We have loads to talk about, Paul. And also joining us, we have, where is she? Yasmin Broom. Hello, Yaz. Fresh from a disappointment not to work with Jim Cannon on last week's show. Yaz, how are you this evening?
I'm okay. As Paul says, you've had a really good week. We're 6 points better off than we were last week. So, brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it was dreamland stuff, wasn't it? The fact that we got 6 more Premier League points. And we're going to really unpack the detail of that a little bit later on. And joining us lastly, but by no means least, you thought it was Teresa Baker. She's not well. Get well soon, T. Joining us at the last minute, Lord Jel Holyoke. Hello, Jel.
Hello, mate. Evening all.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's again, it's always nice to come on after a win, and like you say, 3 points again. Ole, ole. So beginning to be a bit of a theme.
And 12th place again. Ole, ole.
Exactly.
Well, so we got all kinds of songs. Last on Match of the Day again. Ole, ole. I can make them all up. Jill, you were telling us pre-show you've got a new toy as well. You got a drone or something. You'd be flying it over things and.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no. I've just got some private land that I go to when I'm metal detecting. Nice to get out a bit of fresh air, and so I've got my new toy, and it's being a fellow drone enthusiast now. Anyone's got any hints and tips? I'm all up for it. So contact you through the socials.
Well, if anyone in the chat has got any hints and tips for Gel's drone driving, then let him know. Right, so let's move on. Before we get into the action, the big talking point around the team lineup for the cup tie last Sunday was the omission, of course, of Trevoh Chalobah, who was expected to play. Oliver Glasner was suitably diplomatic when questioned about the omission. And, of course, since then, on the day of the Leicester game, we learned that Chelsea had recalled Chalobah for his season-long loan at Palace. And this is what he had to say. He said it was short and sweet, but the club has made such an impact on me so quickly. I was made to feel at home from day one, from the staff, teammates, community and the supporters. The atmosphere at Selhurst was a vibe every single game. Thank you all, Trev. I don't think he really wanted to leave, did he? What do we think about the way in which it was all handled, guys? Sad to see Chalobah leave the club, and could it have been handled better? Paul Gear, first of all.
Yeah, it's sad to see him leave. He'd obviously bedded in well, and we'd had a good solid back three, and it was probably in turn the upturn in results has been a lot down to the stability of the back line. And yeah, obviously he scored some important goals. Obviously down at our friends on the coast, he got a nice one there, which he'll always be remembered for. But yeah, so it was sad to see him go. How well was it done? Ultimately, it doesn't matter how it was done. We obviously agreed to a deal where they had the chance to call him back. If we didn't want that, we either didn't do the deal or it wouldn't happen. So I always try and put myself on the other side of it. And if it was the other way around, if Palace had injuries at the back and we wanted to call one of our players back and we had the legal clause to do it, then so be it. It's what it is. I mean, we couldn't do anything about it. We we agreed to deal with that in. So he's their player at the end of the day. I don't think he wanted to go. He likes playing every week. So if he gets to play at Chelsea, then he'll probably be fine. If he doesn't, then obviously he'll be moving on in the summer, and they're just trying to maximise some money for him.
What do we think about the since then they've slapped £40 million on his head? There we go. That was somewhere online, of course. Yes, what do you think about that? Is he worth 40 million quid, Chalobah?
I don't think so. No. I think you said earlier, Ian, that if he's 40 million, Mark's 80 million, and that's 100% correct. I mean, he would have been worth signing. I didn't want him to go. On Wednesday, I was really upset with the way it had all come about. As Paul says, nothing we can do about it if that clause was there and they're allowed to use it. But I just think the way it was done was awful, to be honest. And he clearly didn't want to go. And the way he was treated before, when he wasn't even allowed to train with the first team, who wants to go back to that sort of atmosphere? But
yeah, and I think this is what surprised everyone. Jel, in as much as Chelsea almost didn't want him, I don't think anyone expected him to get recalled because of the way Chelsea handled him in the summer. Would you agree with that, Jel?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of issues that I've got. So I've got a question first, and then I'll go on from there. Did we have an option to buy him?
Don't think so. No.
Okay. Well, I mean, I was going to say if we had an option to buy him, then there would be not be in breach of contract, but that would certainly still, happen, even if it's at the end of the season. But I mean, you know what's going to happen. They want Gay back, and we like Chalobah. He's bedded in well. Made himself a bit of a hero already. So it'll just be a case of we'll see him in the middle, pay 35 mil. We've got a Premier League defender. Then we're not bringing like we usually do, bringing in Championship players and hoping that they, building them up. We're actually bringing in a Premier League player who's been surrounded by a lot of better Premier League players than what we've got. So, and I think he's done all right. And I was, there were a lot of people saying, "No, I won't buy him." But I was an advocate of buying him. But you could see, you can't stay at Chelsea for that long and be a bad player. But I hope that we do the deal. That Mark goes. We all know he's going to go. He goes, and it helps sweeten the deal for us. Meet him in the middle at 35.
Okay, we shall see what happens, of course, at the end of the season. Yaz, one final word on this before we move on?
Yeah, just to say, and Dawn said it in the comments, that in the way that Chelsea treat their young players is not great. I mean, they didn't want Mark. That's why we got him. Yeah. Conor Gallagher, the way they treated him was appalling. So hopefully young players will stop going to Chelsea, start coming to a decent club. Yeah,
and I think now, with the very young ones, if you're looking at, kids that are still at school, now we've got the Cat 1 Academy, we can attract them to Crystal Palace, whereas before we couldn't. And that's why the likes of people like Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Emil Smith-Rowe and others that were, born and bred in South London went off to other London clubs. Right, we'll touch on the FA Cup a little bit later, but let's dive into reviewing the 2 wins on the road within the last week. Let's have a look at the team lineup, Nigel, if we can, for the Leicester City game. This was in midweek. Will Hughes there, back in the starting 11. Henderson in goal, Munoz, Richards, Lacroix, Gahey. Richards keeps his place in the side. We'll come to the cup match shortly. And, able replacement for Chalobah, I think. Mitchell, of course. Lerma, Hughes. Lerma didn't last too long in this fixture. Sarr, Eze and Mateta. Paul, you're going to talk us through the events up at Leicester in the East Midlands on Wednesday night.
Yeah, so we roll up to Leicester. Leicester on the back of 5 straight defeats, so probably looking a good time to go and play them, to be honest. And I think we all went up there fairly confident. We were, as you say, changed back to the league team, as it were, from the cup match. So yeah, game got underway. Cold night in Leicester, and probably Leicester acclimatised a bit quicker. They were a bit faster on the ball, playing the ball around our half more than we were in theirs. And the first real shot that came through, or the first attack, they went through. Ball over the top. Vardy hit a volley on the edge of the box and just went wide. I think Henderson pulled his hands away, so I don't think he ever thought it was going in. But there really wasn't much happening. Leicester, as I say, were a bit buzzing around and they were having more of the ball. Palace were a bit slow and ponderous when we got the ball, and we were just not making any inroads at all. And then Leicester had another attack. Vardy went through. and we were all sort of thinking this could be it, 1-on-1. And Henderson made a really good save, and then the linesman decided to put his flag up after, which is always a bugbear. He looked pretty offside straight away to us. So yeah, they should supposed to put the flag up at that point. But yeah, we just weren't making
good save.
It was a good save. It was a good save, and yeah, so that would have probably dropped Vardy's confidence a bit because he was not doing well. But yeah, straight after that, Lerma sat down, and we all thought he'd basically pulled something because he'd been running back something he shouldn't have been running back for if the flag had gone up. But turns out he'd got the sickness bug that the rest of the team had previously. So we took him off, brought on Czech. And again, it didn't really change any of the game. The game first half was petering out really, and then all of a sudden we did get in their half. Munoz charged the ball down, and the ball bounced nicely in the box from Mateta, who, unlike his recent form, he didn't show any real composure, and he just lashed it over the bar, which was harder to miss the target really than hit the target at that point. But yeah, so it was a poor miss. Ian.
Yeah, and could he have squared the ball to Eze? Yes, I mean he was. Eze was Eze Paul, wasn't it? I think there was.
He was in the box as well. But...
Yeah, would that be a better option? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he should have done, or he should have done better. Because as Paul says, it wasn't what we were expecting from JP really, and it was a bit disappointing.
Yeah, uncharacteristic, I think, is a way of probably putting it. The way he's playing at the moment, but there we are. We'll come on to his goals in a minute. But Paul.
Yeah, I mean, not many strikers would have passed it there. I don't think it was.
No, you're right.
It was there to be hit. But yeah, so that was again, and then just towards the last few kicks of the half, we were in their box again, and the ball broke to Hughes on the edge of the box. He hit a screamer, which just cleared the bar very close. It was would have been a lovely goal that. But yeah, so half time 0-0. Not a good Palace performance, which the manager said as well as much after the game. So we needed to come out better, and unfortunately we did. Second half started, and the first thing we noticed was that the fog was starting to come down as well, which was always a bit worrying because you always worry about a game being called off if it gets too foggy. But yeah, ball breaks in the middle. Czech won it back, fell to Sarr, who put his head down and ran forward, which is what we've been missing all the first half, and played a lovely through ball to Mateta, who got past his man, stayed onside. He rounded the keeper and rolled it in. It was a well taken goal. And yeah, just the start to the second half that we needed to push Leicester back onto their heels, really.
Yeah, 52 minutes that goal was timed at, and Sarr playing in a central role there. He's come in. We said that the 2-10s are played narrowly. Let the we'll come to that in a minute. Played quite narrowly, and he was quite central, wasn't he? He was very central, in fact, and he just threaded the ball through. Brilliantly.
Oh yeah, as we've said, that's how this system is supposed to play. You've got your Mitchell and your Munoz are your wingers, and the 2-10s, as we've seen in both the games actually, which we'll come to, are supposed to get the ball in the middle of the park and drive forward with it because they're between the opposition's defence and midfield. They should get the space which they weren't running into, and yeah, it's that was their system to a T. It was perfect, and as Nigel just flipped up there, yeah, once that goal in, all three of us had a cameo.
Have you not seen that before, Jel? Have you not seen that before?
No.
It's like a picture of Where's Wally, isn't it? Especially this bloke on the left. No, it's not me. Yes, the other guy. I tell you what, I've got so many people sent me that. So many people sent me that. I tell you, my phone was pinging, and it was quite funny, really. Put it back up a minute, Nige. Yaz, look at Yaz in the picture. She's like covering her face, saying something like, "I've got the cameras on me. They can't know what I'm saying." It looks like, and there's on the right hand side, there's you, Paul, and your old man. Look, it's quite funny.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is that Nick Gillard standing next to you, Yaz?
Who's that?
Nick Gillard.
I don't know. He was in front of me. But I didn't know who he was.
No, that's it. Yeah, no, he's a really good mate of mine. I've just realised my eyes are so bad, and the picture's very small on my phone. But yeah,
there we go. Yeah. Anyway, we're happy. That was 1-0, wasn't it? And our little cameo match of the day. So we just mentioned that on the pod. There we go.
Yeah, once we'd scored, as I say, we had come out better. We started moving the ball forward quicker and attacking more, putting more of the pressure under there. And then Sarr got the ball again in that sort of halfway line, just on the right position. Played a lovely diagonal through ball to Mitchell, whose first touch, unfortunately, was a little bit heavy. He still got there first and tried to dink it over the keeper and was very unlucky. The keeper made a good save with his arm. Yeah. Would have been a lovely second goal for that. But yeah, we were starting to sort of turn the screw a bit, and then Leicester, I think perhaps we started committing too many men forward because Leicester suddenly had a couple of attacks, and before we know it, they crossed the ball in, and Samara's hit the bar. He's hit a sort of miss-hit volley which has gone over over Henderson, and fortunately for us, bounced off the bar. So that in some ways was probably good because it sort of reconcentrated us, hopefully. And then we, as I say, started carrying on again. If all we got Czech got fouled, I think in the middle of the opposition half. So we had a set piece. So Eze stands over it and he just dinks it in.
By that time now, I've just gone off to the gents by then.
Yeah, as you walked past me and you said they better not score. So you preempted that one, which was good of you. But yeah, so Eze dinked it in, and from the far post, Mark he volleyed it in. Really good technique. I mean, it was coming over his head. He kept his eye on the ball and managed to smash it into the corner. And it's what we've been crying out for all season. Whenever we take the lead, it's that second killer goal. And it really did. It was wind out of their sails at that point. And so 2-0. He comes over, celebrates in front of us, and JP spots the camera and gives us all a bit of a scare, to be honest.
That is scary. Go back to the other one, Nigel. Of course, you can really see the goal clearly on that, can't you? Flipping egg. It was like really foggy. You couldn't see a thing.
It was getting misty.
Yeah, so when I was in the men's room, I was mid-flow and I heard this big cheer, and I thought it was either 1-1 or 2-0. I didn't know which way it had gone until I got out. So it was quite funny, really. I took one for the team by going off then midway through the second half. And then when I get back, there's a pitch invader, and that's all kicking off. And they didn't start the game for another 5 minutes after that. I could have just gone then, but never mind. You don't know these things at the time, do you? So 2-0, and we're sort of comfy then, aren't we, really, at 2-0?
Jel, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so the free kick where Eze thinks it, I don't know if you noticed, it's obviously off the training ground, because do you remember when he dinked a free kick against Stockport and it just went straight to their goalkeeper? Yes. And he started smiling. So obviously something didn't work after he did that. But I'm just saying, what we seem to have is a little bit more training ground stuff that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it obviously didn't against Stockport and did against Leicester.
Totally. Yeah. So anything else to say on the game, Paul?
No, so 2-0 up, game was then petering out. I mean, they had a header that flashed wide, but it was they're not. They say with the confidence they're playing with, they were never going to come back at that point. And you could say the fans were getting a bit annoyed. They were chanting against their director of football and things like that. So, game went out 2-0. Wasn't a great performance. I think Oliver Glasner came out after the game and he said first half was poor, second half was a bit better, but both halves weren't good at all. Really, it was needed a lot of improvement. And a good stat though, it did break our record. So we were unbeaten in 6 Premier League away games for the first time in our history, which is a nice one to do. So we could now move on to the next one to try and break that again, which we'll come on to in a bit. As I say, through the stats there, Nigel says possession again, they probably had more of it. 21 shots is a bit deceptive because they had 4 on target and most of their shots were so wayward or just not even worth mentioning. It's surprised they've gone on the stats, to be honest. But yeah, other than that, it was pretty evenish sort of game, really, and it was just down to our better performance and more clinical Premier League know-how in the second half.
Yasmin.
Just want to say, when Mark scored, he really did show a lot of passion, etc., for the club. And just my normal soapbox, can we think of a song for Mark? Clearly, the "You to Me Are Everything" is not the one. So let's just sing Super Mark, sing something.
Why is "You to Me Are Everything"? Why is that not the one?
I think because it's too complicated. I mean, I don't even know all the other words apart from.
Well, I'll teach it to you, not now, but we'll see. Anyway, listen. Dawn said a comment just going through us. The comments go through really quickly. Thanks for all your comments, guys. I'm sorry we're not getting too many of them. But Dawn said Jordan Ayew got a good reception. Yes, he did. Palace fans were singing Jordan Ayew, which was quite funny. There we go. 2 goals, 3 points. And a route march back to Leicester Station to get the train back home that night. Jel, last word on this to you.
I know we said we didn't play very well, but it is really nice to win when you don't play very well. Yeah. Usually when we don't play very well, we get hammered or, saying we haven't been hammered for a long time apart from the Arsenal game. But what I'm saying is if we don't play that well, everyone's getting mad but it's amazing. Win 2-0, don't play very well, and everyone's a bit more chipper. So,
absolutely. And of course, the games now come thick and fast, but it's similar, of course, for all Premier League clubs. Albeit that our opponents on Saturday, West Ham, had 2 home games while we had to travel twice. But the latter was, of course, a relatively short trip across the capital to the Taxpayers Stadium on Saturday. Before we get into the game, this was our first win on a Saturday this season and our first away win in a London derby since winning at the same stadium and against the same opposition 2-1 in November 2022. So just a few stats for you there. Paul, let's talk about yesterday. Fresher in the memory and still just as cold on a Saturday afternoon.
It was freezing again, yeah. Luckily, there wasn't so much fog, but it was another cold day. But if we're going to keep winning in the cold, who cares, eh? So, yeah, there's the lineup. Pretty much similar to Leicester. Obviously, we knew from the press conference that Lerma was not going to make it. So, Kamada came in. I mean, we'll probably mention him a bit later. And he came on, obviously, at Leicester, and he did okay. So, and we also, I think I saw on social media before the game, he'd actually played for an Oliver Glasner team at West Ham a few years ago in the UEFA Cup, and he'd scored. So perhaps it was a good omen for him to put him in the team. But other than that, it's what's pretty much become our normal league lineup now. So yeah, game started again. We had more of the ball this time. We were more in control. It was a lot of backwards passing, sideways passing, but the ball was a majority at the other end to us, which was quite nice, even though we didn't get to see it as well because you're so far away at that silly ground. But yeah, we didn't have much punch. But we were certainly more in control, and you could tell it was a more considered performance. But the first real chance came at the other end, though. West Ham broke one of their rare breaks, swung it across, it bobbled about a bit, and then when Wan-Bissaka mishit a volley across the goal, no real threat to it, to be honest, but that was it. And then, the only other real chance, I mean, I think match of the day only managed to pick out one highlight in the first half, which was pretty impressive.
It was appalling, wasn't it? It was appalling.
Munoz got the ball down the right, and he played it down the right edge of the box, and Mateta hit a first-time shot, which Fabianski did well to turn around the post for a corner. But again, yeah, that was pretty much really the only action of the first half. But we were the better team out of anyone there. I mean, I thought reading one of the newspaper reports was very harsh, and they said it was the most boring first half that's ever been seen at that stadium, which I thought was a little harsh. But perhaps he was a West Ham fan.
I thought we were much better than them in the first half. I really did. I thought I went into half time thinking, we've really bossed this. If this was a boxing match, we'll be winning on points easily. I
think even Graham Potter said that. So we were the better team. And as I say, whether that was because West Ham were not very good, I mean, they weren't, or whether we were just not letting them have the ball. We kept the ball. We kept the ball well, but as I've mentioned many times, I like to see a bit more sort of something being produced from that. It's all very well doing passing it around the backside, but you need to have some sort of end product. And ultimately, because we didn't, it was a 0-0 half and whatever. But as you say, we came out second half again, same as the other day, confident because we were playing the better team. And Mateta gets the ball on their right, our left, and he does a nice little scoop over, gets the ball past the defender who barrels into him, knocks him over. Rightful booking. Don't think anyone complained about that. It was pretty straightforward. And then a couple of minutes later, West Ham attacking down our left. We get the ball back, and we play a lovely little move, to be honest. 3 or 4 of our players out towards, I think it was Atasar, who ended up heading it onto Eze. And Eze, similarly to the position that Sarr was at Leicester, and as we've said just now, that this is what we want our number 10s to be. He got the ball in the centre circle. And the first thought was to go forward, which has not always been his first thought recently. So it was quite nice for him to get the ball and play a first-time through ball to Mateta. Lovely weighted pass straight into his stride, which meant he could run onto it, which meant the defender had to back off him, and he just kept backing off, and he got to the edge of the box, and beautifully well taken shot, the bottom corner. And we all went a bit nuts, to be honest, in the away end. It was a great goal, and off he went to his favourite corner flag.
He still had a lot to do, didn't he? If we just go back to that other one, just the other. He still had a lot to do because he picks the ball up in the centre circle. It was a great ball from Eze through to him, and it was Sarr that assisted the assister. So these 3 are involved in most of the goals, aren't they? The 3 of them, three front 3. And he, as I said, he picked the ball up on the centre circle. He still has an awful lot to do. And yet what you can't see in that picture off screen is Munoz. Munoz is hurtling forward. He's on the edge of the box here almost in an offside position. And he's taking a player out as well. And that gives him maybe a bit more space. I don't know. But Munoz gets forward so often. How Munoz has not had an attacking return in the last few games is beyond me. He's had so many. As an owner in FPL as well, I'm frustrated. I'm glad for the 2 clean sheets, but he really is going to get some points very, very soon. And he's such a good player offensively. But yeah, 1-0 and we're in dreamland, aren't we? You know, for happy days. You know.
Yeah, because as I say, at that point they're not causing us any pressure at all. So it's sort of like, as the other day, we're just like, well, let's keep the hammer down. Let's just get this second killer goal, take them out, and then we can just sort of see the game out. But they got the ball a bit more out of it, and they started going forward again. And they had a set piece, I think, came into the box, bobbled about a bit. Ings, who'd come on, had a shot which Richards blocked out, but that really was the extent of their play. It was, as we'll see at the end, they didn't have a single shot on target, I don't think, in the whole game. And then we made some substitutions. Eddie came on. Devaney had come on for Sarr. Sarr we'd already known had a tight hamstring, so it was probably best not to play him when he didn't need to. So he came on for him, and then Eddie came on for Eze. And his first touch, Mateta, again, who was also not only the goal scorer, he was a playmaker as well. He got the ball, played him through with a lovely pass. Eddie's made the run, stayed onside. And we just wanted him to go around the keeper, didn't do anything. And the keeper just came out just too quickly and managed to block him. And it's a shame, really, because we could do with Eddie getting his first league goal, because it would be a big weight off his back, to be honest. And I think we'd start to see a lot freer player at that point. But he came on and he had an impact as a sub, which is all you can ask.
Paul, let me bring Yasmin in here. Do you think that came too early for Eddie Nketiah? He's just come off the bench. That was my thought. What do you think about that? It was a theory.
I don't know. I would hope he would do better with it, but I don't know. He just needs a goal for his confidence, because as soon as he gets that, I think he'll be fine. I mean, he won the penalty. It's just that I don't know what he was doing, to be honest.
I mean, you could say he could have won a penalty there. If he'd taken a different touch, he could have drawn the keeper again on that occasion. I just thought it came a bit too early for him. That's all my take on it. He just got off the bench. Was it his first touch or second touch? He hadn't done much before that. And therefore can always be forgiven for, not making the most of the opportunity. But yeah, Mateta, he's got so much to his game, hasn't he? The fact he's going to pick the ball up deep, he's turning, he's running with it, he's eating up the ground and making these passes, as we'll see when we talk about the second goal. Absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Jel.
To be fair with Eddie about the chance to go around a goalkeeper, the ball through for him, if you look at the camera that was low down on the halfway line, it wasn't. If it had been pushed through a little bit more centrally, I think he would have been one-on-one going through to the middle of the goal, but he didn't. It was more to the right, which sort of forced his hand to go to the right. But Fabianski, who I really like, is a very good goalkeeper. He stood up. He didn't just dive down, try and grab and give away a penalty, that time. But he stood up and stayed up long enough to make the save. So, but yeah, I thought he did all right. And it only just come on as well. Yeah. So, and like you say, as I said, mentally, he just needs a goal. And I want to say something about Eddie after you've talked about what's going to go next, Paul.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Joe. All right.
Yeah, so we're still pushing forward, trying to get this second goal. And then Mateta again gets the ball down the left-hand side, heads it forward. And again, Mavropanos kicks him in the chin as he goes past him. And he goes down. And chap runs over, card comes out, and we all know what's happening at that point. And I don't think anyone could argue with either booking, to be honest. And so with 10 minutes to go, we're suddenly a man up, and we're all thinking, right, well, this we can't throw this away, surely. And so we just kept putting the pressure on. And again, Mateta gets the ball midway in the half, plays Eddie through again. It was a great run and pass, well timed. Eddie got the touch before the keeper, so you know what's going to happen. Keeper clatters into him. Penalty all day long. It's not a red card because the ball's going away from goal, and obviously double jeopardy. If you get the penalty, you won't be sent off. But it was as clear a penalty as you'll see. So it was great. So we're all sort of holding our heads, waiting for the net to bulge, and so Mateta steps up and squeals it.
The net doesn't bulge.
It didn't quite reach the net, I don't think. So it wasn't the best penalty he's ever taken, I'm sure. And Fabianski probably dived too far for it, but it crossed the line. So ultimately, if it crosses the line, it's a good penalty. So 2-0, and game over at that point. So it was great. Jel?
Let's just talk about the penalty then. Let's just talk about the penalty. Obviously, he was the only person going to take the penalty. Eberechi Eze was off the pitch at the time. because it's either one of those two. We think we don't know who the nailed-on penalty taker is for Crystal Palace at the moment. But Mateta, because as it was off the pitch, was the only one going to take it. But it was a very poor penalty kick, wasn't it, Yaz? Shocker, wasn't it?
It really was. I mean, because I had a really tall bloke in front of me as well, I didn't actually know if it had definitely gone in because I saw the goalkeeper go the right way. I thought he'd saved it, and then all of a sudden everyone starts jumping up and down. So yeah, he's done much better ones than that. He was quite lucky there, I think. But I'll take it all day long.
Okay, so who takes the next one, Jill? Eze's on the pitch this time.
Well, if Eze's on the pitch, Eze takes it. But if not, then Mateta takes it. But there was a couple of things for that penalty. Firstly, if you watch the replay, but not from the camera angle where you've actually got as the goalkeeper was about to bring him down, but from the high up, you see Bissaka as he goes over, he looks up as if to go. Oh, no, it was a real what has he done moment, and he just carried on looking at the sky because he knew. Then he heard the whistle and the penalty got. But I think the ball went through two sets of hands before it got to Mateta. I think someone threw it to Eddie, and then Eddie, you see him walking across, and you can see him side-eyeing JP. And then I thought what was really, really good, JP never went up and grabbed it off him. He threw it to him. Honestly, watch it. It's a really good bit of sportsmanship because you can see he wants to take it, but he knows that there's two penalty takers for our club. One is Eze, and then it's JP. And to be honest with you, it was a poor penalty. It's only a poor penalty if the goalkeeper goes the right way. He goes the other way, everyone goes, yeah, it's a great penalty. But anyway, and he hits it hard as well, deceptively hard.
Paul.
As Jel says, Eddie did want to take it. Even in the interview on the website after, he said he wanted to take it, but JP is the penalty taker. So whether Eze's on the pitch and JP is the penalty taker, who knows? But yeah, it was good to see because you see other clubs sometimes and they're in a tussle over who's taking all this.
Exactly.
As much as he wanted to take it, he wanted the team to win and stick with the rules. So it was great. And as Jel said, I've always said this: there's no such thing as a good or bad penalty these days. Most penalties that go in, as I say, if it goes in, it's good. People who dink it down the middle, people say, "Oh, that's so calm, so brilliant." But if the goalie stands still and catches it, you look like a plum. So, and as Jel says, if he dived the other way, everyone would said, "Oh, what a calm penalty." So as long as it goes over the line, it's great. So great win, and it extended our record. So we're now unbeaten in 7 Premier League away games, which is we're hopefully going to extend again in the next one. And a very interesting stat after this game, which was confirmed today with Tottenham conceding goals. We have the best defensive away record. We've only conceded 11 goals in 11 away games, which is the best in the Premier League. Amazing stuff. Joe, you want to come in and say something
really
about
quickly? Eddie? We must be close to getting the 3 away, the 3 clean sheets in a row. Must be getting close to a Premier League record for us, is it?
Well, one of them was a cup, wasn't it? So it's because we let in the goal to Southampton. But yeah, certainly 3 away clean sheets in a row away. We've probably not done that many times before.
Yeah. So yeah. Did you want to say anything else about Eddie, Joe? You wanted to come in and make a point about him?
No. And again, what Paul said was, there could have been a tussle, but what I really like is you can see he's got a little bit about him. He's got a little bit of spice about him, and he could have turned around and threw his toys out the pram and said, "I'm taking this penalty," but he didn't. He looked over, he gave the side eye to JP, and he just can't. He didn't throw it at him. He didn't bounce it. He just tossed him the ball and went, "Go on, go and do your job." And I really like that. I'll tell you what, a lot of people would have had a little bit of some newfound respect for Eddie for doing that. Massive kudos for him.
Yeah. Paul Bristow, good to see you yesterday, mate. He says Mateta is our penalty taker. We only have one other this season against Leicester. Mateta took it when Eze was on the pitch. So, yeah, maybe you're right, Paul. Maybe it is Mateta as the penalty taker. And he's taken 2 and scored 2 this season. So that's not too bad at all. Good stuff. Okay. So we have now lost just once in our last 11 Premier League games. And as you say, Paul, we're undefeated in 7 Premier League away games, 4 wins and 3 draws. After not registering a Premier League win until the end of October, the current form is obviously a marked improvement. So I'm going to ask you guys now, what do we put this down to? How come we've managed to turn this around? and we're not in the bottom three and struggling. There's the last 5 games, which is a great record. And they put these the greens and the greys and the reds up on Match of the Day, don't they? And in the bottom half of the table, we're the only team not to have a red dot on our last 5 games. Going back to Boxing Day when we drew 0-0 at Bournemouth, and after their result yesterday, that looks like a flipping good result as well. So, what do we put it down to? I'm going to come to you first, Paul. Why the improvement?
Yeah, as I say, I saw the stat the other day. From game week 9 onwards, we would be 6th. So it shows how bad the start was, unfortunately. I think, again, at the start of the season, we had obviously players playing through the summer. There were players arriving on deadline day, which is a bugbear, as we know. We'll come on to that. So it did take a while for shape to be decided, to team patterns to be made. And again, we said earlier, the back three suddenly became pretty stable. People playing in the right position. I think obviously Gay's move to the left and Max's move into the middle helped. And so, yeah, the whole team has just got, I think, more used to the way to play. The system has been more ingrained. The defence is not letting as many goals, hence we just said from the clean sheets as well. So we're more confident in the back, and we're a bit more clinical up front. We were having chances in the first few games. We weren't taking them, as I say, the last couple of games. Leicester as well. We have 3 or 4 chances. We put half of them in. So it all just seems to have come together. So I don't. We were saying at the start of the season we weren't playing that badly. We just didn't have the rubber to green. We weren't taking our chances. Once that starts to happen, it's we're just looking at more and confidence. And the other big word that we say about we're getting these results. We've lost 2 games since the end of October. It's when we go behind, we don't necessarily think we're going to lose the game. As I say, we're also getting to the point when we get in front, we're finishing teams off a bit more and making sure of it. So it's just, I think it was, it's just confidence, more cohesive team, more pattern and consistency. We haven't had, touch wood, too many injuries to the first 11 that have been that disruptive. When we did was that Fulham game when we had no midfield, and obviously we lost that. So we've got a stable team. Playing confidently, and it's coming together, should we say?
Like confidence, cohesion, consistency. Got any more C words for us, Jel?
Well, I mean, look, the first 7 or 8 games when we were completely under pressure, but I thought we lost 2 of our most creative players, and Anderson was, no matter what, was creative from the back. We've not had many centre backs that could pass the ball like him. So losing him as an outlet as well, and a good defender as well. And then Elise, who's probably, with Eze, they're just a couple of street ballers, aren't they, that created everything for us. So that doesn't help. And then you had Eze coming back tired from playing championship, and of course JP. There was loads of things, and then we've had players come in. I mean, but the other thing as well, I can't remember what game did Chetty. What number game in the season did Chetty get injured?
Norwich in the League Cup.
Well, yeah, but how many games in were we where we had to change the defence again? So we've had to change.
For the first 10
we've had to change. I mean, that's the good thing about it. Is we've managed to have. We probably used. Let's say we've used 15 players this year. Can't think we would have used that many more. So I'm quite happy about that. And it's the same play, the same players. He's not really bloodied anybody, really. And only Devaney, really, that I can think of, which came out the blue, really, didn't he? He came out the blue, and now he looks like he's a...
and he's been a decent addition to the squad, hasn't he, Justin Devaney? No doubt about it. The goal at Villa and, the way he comes on with a high energy, like a, Duracell bunny for the last 20 minutes, and he running around, putting people under pressure. So you're right there.
It's just Macca. It's a new Macca.
Yes, hopefully. Yeah, that'd be good. He speaks like him as well. Yasmin, anything you want to add about this? Why anything fresh you want to add on top of what you've heard already?
No, just that I think not panicking and sticking with Glasner as well is one of the main things. So a lot of clubs quickly jumped to get rid of the manager, got a new manager, and then not that much improvements happened. Because I think most of us knew he could turn it around, and it was that the defence in particular was disrupted and stuff, and now they're all coming together really nicely. Like Max at first was a bit, I thought, dodgy. I was thinking, oh, he's no Anderson, but now he's looking a bit better than Anderson. So I think keeping the faith in Ollie did the trick for us.
Yeah, good point. Very good point indeed. Glasner, in Glasner we trust for sure. And some of these other youngsters, Kapora, Tony Quinn says he's ready and waiting. Yes, I think he probably is. You know, he had a good half against, was it Arsenal, wasn't it? I think he played in the League Cup. So, yeah, we've got these youngsters coming through. Devaney we've already touched on, and quite a few out on loan, which we'll come to in a minute, in a while. So, great 2 wins on the road. You know, things are looking rosy. You know, we're looking up. We've seen an improvement. Someone put a comment on. I'll just see it go through there. Brentford next Sunday will be a test. Yes, it will. And we'll come on to that in a sec. I want to talk about tonight a little bit about the FA Cup. Seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? Last Sunday when we beat Stockport County. Yasmin, your brief thoughts on the game 7 days ago. I know you planned quite a nice report on it, but obviously we're not going to touch on that now. But talk to us a little bit about the game, just very briefly, what you can recollect from 7 days ago.
Yeah, so we made 5 changes, and that was either through resting some or because they were ill with a sick bug. And one of the notable ones that I thought was Chadi Riyad, because that was his first game back. And I thought he did okay. He obviously probably played a bit more than we thought, because obviously that was when Chelsea were obviously starting to cause a bit of trouble with Chalobah that we all didn't know about. So, we scored really early on 4 minutes. It was a really good take and goal. And one thing I noted, I don't know if you all remember, their keeper was literally ginormous. So putting things through the air was a bit silly, I thought, whereas Eze's goal was low down. And I thought, that's the only way we're going to beat this bloke, because he's literally so tall. Also, Kamada was playing, which is not everyone's favourite player, and not mine, but he is improving. And in that match, he got the man of the match. And at the time, I remember thinking, oh no, surely not. Surely it should be someone else. But when I thought about it properly and looked, thought, well, not really. Nobody else really did that much. And I think that summed the game up. We did what we needed to do. But I don't think, well, person I sit next to, he says, it's the most terrible game he's ever seen. I thought, well, I think I've seen worse, but only just. It wasn't the greatest game. They put so many players back. It was hard to break them down. We were lucky to do so and not go to any penalties or anything. So I think we did what we needed to do. And their support was really good. Quite a lot of them came along. I think a lot of them have been posting about it on TikTok. And when I was on the train, and they weren't too impressed with the surroundings of Sellers Park. But I don't remember Stockport being that great when I've been there. But anyway. I was pleased. We did what we needed to do. It wasn't really pretty, but we were through to the next round.
Absolutely, yeah. And their fans were great, weren't they? They had a good support, which was what you sort of half expect from a lower league team at this stage of the competition. So, big up to their supporters who travelled in numbers down to South London last Sunday. So we're into round 4 and we're drawn away to League 2 Doncaster Rovers, a repeat of the 5th round from 2019. And of course, it wasn't so long ago that we would play the South Yorkshire side in competitive championship fixtures. Not a bad draw, but the fixture date on a Monday evening is not the best, Yaz, is it? You're not happy about this, are you?
No, really not happy. I had really big plans for the Saturday because friends of mine were going to meet us there and everything, and now they can't come. Plus, Ian, Paul and I have all had to book hotels and trains, and well, the train we would have had anyway, but we've got to go for a hotel. And basically, I don't think we'll get 1,000 there, let alone 3,000, which is our allocation, which is really disappointing because we would have got that on a Saturday. I think they've got to take notice. We're not even on main BBC. We're on iPlayer. And so for us to have to go to all that expense, for them to put us on my iPlayer is a bit of a joke, which isn't funny.
No, it's not funny at all. Paul?
Yeah, well, as you know from our chats, I predicted this would be on TV at the start. I mean, as a draw, it's a good draw because I think they're the lowest ranked team in it. away from home. It's not a problem for us at the moment. So yeah, as a cup draw, it's great. It's not bad. As you say, the TV scheduling is just the Premier League have deliberately cleared weekends as part of the deal to scrap replays to give the FA Cup more prominence. Now, this game, as I say, it's one thing if it's going to be live on TV and a primetime audience, you move it. But as Yaz says, it's just on iPlayer, and it's just a Monday night. It's not just us. Doncaster fans I've seen on social media aren't happy about it. They don't think they'll sell out now, and they thought it would be a money spinner. So, I mean, you've got to. Sadly, the FA, I suppose, are just bowing to their paymasters and TV because there's no excuse really. I mean, they were always going to put this on because it's a potential giant killing, but Monday night is the worst possible night. I mean, even the Friday night would have been better because you haven't got to get up for work the next morning or whatever. But yeah, Monday night, when we saw that come out, we were just, our hearts sank a bit. And yeah, now we've got to stay overnight in Doncaster, which is a real thrill.
Yeah, I know. The Forest have got to go to Exeter on the Tuesday, which is almost as bad. Joe, what do you think about this? Do you think the FA should be playing the games of a weekend? It's wrong. They play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday in a single round of a competition. What's your thoughts?
I just think that anything other than the Premier League is just being watered down into it's just another game of football. Look, the Doncaster have drawn us. I mean, I'm sure they would have liked Liverpool or whoever, but they've still drawn a Premier League side who would have took, like you say, 3,000 up there, no problem, at weekends. Now, 1,000, 1,500. Most people will probably go up by car instead of public transport because who wants to get on a train at 10 or, God forbid, it goes to extra time. I know is it extra time and penalties on the night?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's even worse, isn't it? But yeah, it just seems that it's cliche, the magic of the cup, and stuck it on iPlayer. I get stuffed. They really don't care. I don't care what people say. They really do not care to do that, to water it down. It's a bit disingenuous to them because the chances are, I'd say, 70-30, 60-40 at best, that we will win that game. But we're still going to have to play well. But yeah, I just think it's disingenuous for them that they've drawn a Premier League club and no one's even going to see it on TV. It's sad, really.
Absolutely. So we do go up there on a Monday night, and it's just one of those things that we're going to have to put up with. Mark Bright wasn't happy as he was told he's going to Doncaster on a Monday night whilst he was commentating during the under-21. So thanks, Mark, for that. Fair enough. Glad it's not just us then. Mark Bright shares our views. Good. I'm going to move this on now, if I may. We've got about 10, 15 minutes left of this show this evening. Other teams, it's been a while since we've been on, so there's quite a lot of news about other teams around the club. The under-21s have played 3 times since we last broadcast. On the 6th of January, they won 2-1. No, they didn't. I'm going to get this right in a minute. You can see I've rehearsed this. It's on the screen in front of me. They lost 1-0 to Fulham in the League 2 Division 1 at the VBS Community Stadium. On the 10th of January, they won 2-0 against Leicester City away from home. Also in the same competition at the Leicester City training ground. We had a couple of lads back from loans there. Ola Adibomi was back from Belgian side and Luke Plange was back as well. And they featured apparently for the under-21s against Leicester in that win. So 1 defeat and 1 win. And then on the 17th of January, we lost in the International Cup versus RB Leipzig in 2-1 again at the Community Stadium in Sutton. Do you ever get to these games, Yaz? You live in Sutton. Do you ever get to those?
I do live in Sutton. I went to one last season. It was okay, but I'm not sure I will make it a habit. It was okay.
Paul Holden says I'm sacked from final score with that mess up I did earlier. Thank you, mate. So the under-18s, they won 5-0 against our opponents yesterday, West Ham United, in the under-18 Premier League at Little Heath Sports Centre, no less. Then they played again on Saturday, the 18th of January, and again they beat Leicester City 2-1. So well done to them. 2 victories on the spin. Mixed fortunes for our ladies. The women, they won in the 4th round of the FA Cup, again at the VBS Community Stadium. They beat Sheffield United 6-1 in the 4th round. They're now drawn at home to Newcastle United in the 5th round. But only today, they were on the wrong end of a 5-0 thrashing by Arsenal women. Of course, very established women's super Premier League side. And we lost 5-0. A proper drubbing. So I don't know any more about that. If anyone's got any details, was it deserved, in the chat? Tell us about it. We're interested.
Say 5-0 is quite comprehensive.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's certain teams, isn't there, in the Women's Super League that are stand head and shoulders, and I think Arsenal's one of them. They're right at the top. Chelsea and Arsenal, they win most things. So 5-0. I think the only key thing that they need to concentrate on, the women, is not to finish bottoms. One team go down, and they've got to make sure that they finish in that second to bottom place. So that's just an update and a roundup from the other teams around the club. So one thing we should be talking about, and we haven't touched on it yet, is, of course, the signing that we had just announced a couple of days ago now, yesterday even, or the day before, was Romain Esse from Millwall. He's an attacking midfielder who moves up to the Premier League after 2 years starring for Millwall in the Championship. 5 goals and an assist to his name already this season. He signed a 5.5-year deal with Palace. He will be available for selection against Brentford next weekend. He's cost us 14.5 million, 12.5 million up front. 12 million up front, 2.5 million add-ons. He might have scored 5 goals this year, but I'm told he's just got 7 goals in total in 66 appearances. And Paul, there's a similarity here between another player that we signed from the Championship a little while ago.
Yeah, we had a look earlier just to see how to compare with our last sort of a successful raid into the Championship. So, yes, as you say, Ian, he played 66 league games with 7 league goals as SA for Millwall. We checked out on Michael Elise. He actually played 67 games for Reading and scored the same 7 goals. So it's almost identical. So let's hope they have an identical impact.
Absolutely. So I don't know about you. Excited to see him? Yes, at the club, this young lad from Millwall.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him. I mean, I didn't know much about him before, but from what I've seen from the Millwall fans going berserk on Twitter, they're not happy that he's gone. So it's worth it just for that in a way. But yeah, I'm hoping he'll be good. I think Dougie knows what he's doing with these young players. So yeah, it's exciting that we have him to come on.
Yeah, and Glasnow, he made a comment, didn't he, that apparently we've signed him because he lives close to the training ground and it's good for the planet and there's not much carbon footprint. He doesn't have to drive or some rubbish. And then he said he was joking. He said that Doogie's been watching him and he's picked him out as a talent. And of course, he's got a history with this, hasn't he? We just Elise, Eze, Adam Wharton. There we are. Look, they all play in blue and white before. Now they play in red and blue. And that's a great quartet, isn't it? I know Elise's gone, but even there's the 3 of them together. Fantastic to see. Jel.
I mean, it's not a massive surprise. Well, the only surprise is that it wasn't that we weren't hijacked by West Ham. And then, of course, knowing what we do, the video that they did had obviously been done at least 1 or 2 days before, the introduction video in the stadium. And in Bournemouth, was it Bournemouth that registered a little bit of it? So they, I mean, by the time we found that out on, Friday, we'd already probably signed him on Wednesday. But that's not, not the first time. I heard about him last year, about us interested in this young kid at Millwall. So, but yeah, and the other thing is, has he got? What shirt numbers he got?
21.
21. Yeah, I do think we've missed this trick. I know we wanted it with Eze 25, but I mean this is even or Eze, but it's even better that we should have been 25. It's ridiculous that we've not done that. So
he was 25 at Millwall. That's the irony.
Oh, don't do that.
He was, yeah. He was. He's got 21 here. Maybe they thought it was just too corny. If he had the 25 shirt, but there we are.
Well, not really, because he could have had the SC25. Song, couldn't he?
Exactly, could have done all kinds of things, all kinds of things. So yeah, really pleased to see him. In other news, midfielder Justin Devenay has signed a new contract with the club that will last to 2027. So good to see that contract extension. I really like him. I think he brings a lot to it, and I think he's got a big future, as you said earlier. Jel reminds us a little bit of Maka. One player that's gone out on loan in this window is Asher Benoni. He's joined Gillingham on loan, and he played yesterday and against Doncaster of all teams, and he was man of the match for Gillingham. And I saw one clip where he ran through with the ball, beat about 3 or 4 players, and hit it wide or hit it over the bar. But it was a good little run, and he looked good. So good luck to him, and hopefully he develops down in Kent with Gillingham. So we move on towards the games that are coming up. We've had a great run. We've talked about that. We've talked about the improvement, but we play Brentford next Sunday at Selhurst Park. It's a 2:00 kickoff in front of the Sky cameras. Have we got those fixtures there, Nige, please? There we go. So 2 p.m. next Sunday. Don't get confused about the kickoff time. And it's, as I said, live in front of the Sky cameras. And there's one other thing I want to share with you about that fixture before we talk about anything else. Now, our friend Tim Richards from the Fan Advisory Board has asked me to read this out. So next week, apparently, is, I didn't know this, Sexual Violence Awareness Week, and it finishes next weekend. And before the game next Sunday, the club are planning to have a self-defence instructor in the fan zone, offering advice on how to keep safe. We'll also be handing out leaflets with hints and tips. Then after the game, supporters will be able to obtain a drink protector or personal alarm. Now, serious stuff this, because it does affect some people quite badly. So we hope that we can put a stop to this kind of stuff, and the club in the community can play their role. So next Sunday, look out for all that stuff that's happening in and around Selhurst before and after the game. So the Brentford game, as I said, is next Sunday. After that, we another week, and then we play on a Sunday again when we go up to Old Trafford. Looking forward to that one because Avanti apparently got problems with the trains on Sundays, strikes and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be a challenge before we move on to Doncaster, which we've already talked about on the Monday night in the FA Cup. Then another game in front of the Sky cameras. This time it's a Saturday tea time, not quite as drastic, in front of a rejuvenated Everton, maybe, with David Moyes in charge. Certainly first half today they played very well, although we're hanging on at the end. And then we play Fulham away. We need to get our own back over them at the Cottage on Saturday, the 22nd of February. If you're going on Grant Saunders' boat for that one, I suggest you make sure you confirm your place nice and promptly, because he was telling me in the week it's 80% sold out the boat. So if you want to go and you haven't booked your place, then make sure you get on the boat with Grant. And then we play Aston Villa at home on a Tuesday night on TNT Sport. So, how do we think we're going to get on against Brentford? As someone said in the chat earlier, it'll be a test. They're a good team. They were holding Liverpool right until 90 minutes yesterday and lost 2-0 in stoppage time. Where do we think it's going to happen next Sunday? We're going to win the game. We're going to lose the game, draw the game. Ladies first this time, Yasmin. What's the score going to be next weekend?
I think it will be 2-0. I think Brentford are really good, so I don't think it's going to be easy. But I think they're better at home than they are away. Plus, we owe them, and I know Eze particular is still a bit peeved about what happened there. So we owe them for the bad luck we had against them. So I think we'll win.
2-0, you're saying, to Palace? Another JP goal, maybe. Paul?
Yeah, as Yaz says, Brentford haven't got the best away record this season, but as we know, they're no mugs. I say they gave Liverpool a game yesterday. They came back from the dead against City the other day. I think we're confident we're playing well, so I think we'll win, but it will be close. I think 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1 for you. Jill, what are you saying?
1-1. I know we did a few weeks ago. We did the 5 games, didn't we? What would be the amount of points over 5 games? And I had us down to draw this. I'm just so looking forward to. I need to fast forward a week. I want Man United. I need us to go and beat them. I mean, they're slaughtered today by Brighton, double-edged sword because we were only 4 points behind Brighton, obviously above Man United. So it was my son-in-law is a Man United fan, and my wife's cousins are all Brighton fans. So I sort of wanted the 1-1 draw, and it's rained really hard to make everyone miserable. But, but Brighton won. But yeah, so Man United being under us, it's just, like I say, my son-in-law's Man United. So
and Spurs as well. When was the last time Spurs?
I know.
Can't remember, but there we go.
We're above West Ham. We're above West Ham as well now, aren't we?
West Ham as well, yeah.
We're above West Ham. We're above Spurs. I mean,
and Man United.
Yeah, and Man United. Fantastic times, really.
We're in 12th. Crystal Palace 12th is the sort of it trips off the tongue, doesn't it? So yeah, you're right. It was bittersweet Brighton winning at Old Trafford today. And there's Nigel's produced this for us. Look, this is a nice little graph. This is our league position, highest league position this season in 12. Thanks, Nigel. There we go. We'll dig that one out at the end of the season.
What was the points thing? Just quickly, sorry, Ian. Before yesterday's game, weren't we 1 point better off or 1 point worse off than this side last season?
Not much in it, mate.
There's not. Yeah,
not much in it at all. So I think with the trajectory that we're on, and the good feel-good factor, and the fact we've now got a week and a day before we play again, it's all pretty positive. So let's not get too carried away. I think Glasner talks about this a lot. Let's not get too high when we're winning, not too low when we're losing. Let's just stay grounded, stay level-headed, get behind the team, and hopefully the results will follow. So that's the plan.
Get the roll next in.
Get the roll next in, yeah. And well done, Jason Whiteleaf Eagle, tweet of the week. Get the roll next in the club shop. I love that. That was very funny indeed. I laughed too much at that. Guys, thank you so much for joining us in the chat tonight. I hope you've enjoyed the show. As always, we wouldn't do this without you guys. So appreciate you joining us. I'm sorry we haven't done too many shout outs tonight. But thanks very much for joining us. Thank you to Paul, Yasmin and Jel for being on the show. Thank you to producer guy Nige. And we'll see you all next time after the Brentford game on a Monday week. Tomorrow week we'll be on again. Hopefully Nick will be back hosting that one. Good night all. Thanks very much.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.